Hello everybody, welcome to Demo Theater 3. My name is Brandon Armstrong and I'm a product engineer on the Survey123 for ArcGIS team. Today I'll be going over some tips and tricks that you can use with Survey123. Just out of curiosity, how many people have used Survey123 already? Alright, looks like the majority. Just to let you know, this presentation does assume that you have basic understanding of creating surveys, maybe some submissions, and then analyzing those results. If you don't, no worries, this will be a good place to get an idea of what you can accomplish. So just a list of some of the topics we'll be going over today. We'll start with cascading selects and how they can help to guide the survey submitter through answering questions by presenting predefined lists of available answers. In addition, the external selects can improve performance when working with large choice lists. Next, we'll go over the pull data function and how it can be used to extract data from a preloaded CSV file. And finally, we'll go over the inbox and how it allows you to edit existing data as well as assist in managing full lifecycle workflows using Survey123. So as discussed, I'm assuming that most of you have created a survey in the past similar to the one shown on this slide. Now, this survey was created in order for volunteers to report daily precipitation information at designated water stations by monitoring a rain gauge. We can see that it's pretty basic in its structure, and if you can't tell, it consists of questions which require the manual input of typing answers into each question. Now, it's not necessarily a poorly designed survey, but we have to assume that as this survey will be taken daily, survey submitters aren't going to want to type in their answers each time they fill a survey out. So this is where a feature like cascading selects can come in handy. Cascading selects can be used in order to guide the user through a series of drop-down menu selections by limiting the selectable options. So as you can see in this animation, as each answer is selected, we're only given values in the next question which apply. So as the survey submitter would enter a state, they'd only be given the counties within that state. And as they enter in a county, they're only given the water stations within that county. So pretty powerful. So we can see how this can be applied in a demo here. So here I have a pretty basic survey that I've set up in Survey123 Connect. And it has two questions. The first question asking, select your favorite pet. The second question asks, select your favorite breed. Now, there are breeds that apply to each of the pets, but I don't necessarily want options for dogs if I select cat. Likewise, when I select dog, I wouldn't want options for cats. So in order to limit this, I can go into my choices sheet and begin setting up my cascading selects. So I'll start by adding a choice filter column within my choices sheet. And I'm going to name this column Pets. So for each pet, so in my pets column, I'm going to apply a value for my first question to the pets column. So next to all the cats, I want to enter cat in my pets column because I know that Siamese, Sphinx, Bengal, and Persian are all cats. So I'll apply cat here. My next choices are all dogs. So I'll apply dog to my pets column. Now, in order to utilize this pets column and the choice filter, I'll go back to my survey here and I'll navigate to where my choice filter column is. So here we have choice filter, and now I want to state that in order for this breed selection, in order for my choices of breeds to be available, I want to specify that in the pets column, I need a value that's equal to the pet from my first question. So I'll state pets equals my value of pet. And let me save this. And now let's see when I select cat. Okay. Let's see. All right. And let me just pull up a different form here. I'm going to start. All right. Just a minor hiccup here. Okay, we'll do this. You guys get a 2-for-1. I'm going to set this up really quick one more time. Okay. And we'll set up again my pets column. And I want to say cat. So again, applying that cat value to all my choices of cats, and the dog for all my dog choices. And back to my survey sheet. And stating within my choice filter for the breed question, I want to state look at the pets column and give me only those values which apply to the pet that I've specified. So now when I select my cat, I'm only given cats, and likewise when I select dog, I'm only given my dogs on the list. So that's how we can use cascading selects, and you could see how that could work when having hierarchy of choices, so between states, counties, cities, and as you can imagine, the lists can get pretty long. So as we saw here, we also want to utilize external selects. So in the case where you have 300 or 1,000 or several thousand choices within your list, there's a method that you want to use in order to prevent performance issues when loading your surveys. So external selects are only designed to work with choice lists associated with cascading selects. So you can, in order to utilize them, you can add an extra tab to your spreadsheet called external choices, and it should contain the same column headings as your choices tab. So we're going to go back to our survey one more time here. And I'm going to add an additional sheet here. And I'll go ahead and rename this external choices. And what I'll do now to utilize this is go back to the choices for my breeds that I have in my choices sheet. And I'll cut these, and I'll go ahead and paste these within my external choices sheet. And again, I mentioned that we want to have the same column headings, so I'll go ahead and copy this from my choices sheet and place them within the external choices. Now, in order to reference my external choices, I'll need to go back to the survey and specify a select one external type question. So now let me go ahead and save this. And now we can see that I still get my list of cats when I select cat, and my list of dogs when I select dog. But when looking for the breed, it's going to the external choices sheet. And the reason that we want to do this for external choices is because the values from the external choices tab will be saved in a separate file on the load and then loaded from this external file into your form as the values are needed. So it won't hinder the performance when loading your surveys and only be pulled again when needed when they apply. So let's move on now to how we can utilize the pull data function. So the pull data function can be used to extract information that's contained within a CSV that is external to the survey. In the example on screen, we see that we've gone back to our precipitation collection survey. Here we can see that as the survey submitter enters a value into the station ID and selects enter, the survey references an external CSV with corresponding information for that station. In this case, we can see that the state, city, station, and XY location are pulled from the CSV and placed into the answers for corresponding questions. So you can imagine how much time this saves the survey submitter and how it can further reduce error in the data being submitted. And if you already have that data, of course you're going to want to use it and utilize it with a function like pull data. So let's go back now to the example that we've been working on. And we'll go ahead and locate a CSV which might contain more information related to the breeds of animals which we've added to our choices sheet. In my case, I've already placed them in the appropriate location, which is the media folder within the surveys folder. So again, to access this, I clicked on the folder icon, open up media, and because we had to create another one, I'll have to navigate to exactly where this is actually. So here I have a pets file. Looks like it might contain some pretty helpful info, so I'll go ahead and first place it into my media folder. And let me open this up. Okay, so here we can see we have some additional information for each of our breeds of animals. So it looks like we have the origin from where they're from, and in addition a unique identifying feature for that animal. So let's say we want that to be auto-populated into the survey, just pulling from our external data set. So what I want to do now is go back to my survey and identify a question which might be helpful in pulling this information for the breed. So I don't want this to be available to users to enter in an input, so I'm just going to use it as a note, or identify a note question. And I'll state this is origin, and for the label, I'll say origin of animal. Let me go ahead and hit save. Okay. And let's add that one more time. Okay, and here we have origin of animal, and now we want to pull that data from the existing CSV. So let me pull back up my pet sheet, and where I'll place my pull data function is within the calculation column for the applicable question. So here I'll state pull data, open parentheses, and now I need to state the variables that I'll need in order to pull the data from the CSV. So first on the list is the name of the CSV file. So we can see that the name is pets. So I'll apply that for my first variable. The second variable is the column for which I want to extract values from. In our case, it's origin. So I'll select origin here, or enter origin. The next value is the lookup value for which I'll use to pull from the CSV file. So I'll state here, breed. And my final variable is the name value and the lookup value from my actual survey. So I'll state here, $, curly bracket, breed. And let me close out the parentheses and update. And now I can see again when I select cat and I select Siamese, I'm given that the origin is Thailand. If I select dog and poodle, I see that the origin is from France and Germany. So again, I'm using that external data set to pull information related to each breed and populate this answer. So in addition to the breed, we have one more column, so I might add another note. And here, I'll select unique. And for my label, I'll state identifying feature. Now I know that most of my variables for the pull data will be the same, so I can simply pull this down, because again, pull data, open parentheses, the name of the CSV file is not changing, but what is changing is the column for which I want values from. So I'll change this to unique feature. And go ahead and save that. And now I can see when I select my cat and Siamese, I get an identifying feature. So again, Siamese cats have blue eyes, pretty cool looking. I don't know if any of you have seen or interacted with Siamese cats before, but we can see that this is an identifying feature. Our Sphinx is Canadian and bare skin. So again, we're just pulling data from that external CSV file. Going back to our example, this again would be helpful if you had, say, a station ID, which had location information including city, state, the station name, anything that might be applicable to a particular location. So we'll now move on to our final subject, which will be editing existing data sets by using the inbox. So this is one of the coolest features that we have in Survey123, and allows you, again, to edit either surveys that have already been submitted or to use an existing feature service to create a survey and edit records which were submitted. And sometimes, a year ago, 2 years ago, it doesn't matter. You can pull all of those down. So reviewing submitted surveys and then implementing multi-step workflows. In addition, we can filter the inbox by using the inbox filter. And this can reduce large inboxes and assist with targeted workflows. And in order to better identify our surveys, we can use the instance name parameter. So instead of getting a string of long text, you can actually get something that makes sense to those that are using the inbox to edit their surveys and data. So in this case, I'm going to go back to our water precipitation survey that we've seen in all of these demos. Here I'll load a volunteer daily log for which they would be submitting information to. And we can see that in this survey, we're asked for several pieces of information, most importantly, the number of inches of precipitation that would have gathered within a rain gauge. So here's a representation of the survey within the field app. So let's fill out a record here. So here I'm specifying the number of inches collected within my rain gauge. I won't add any additional information. I'll go ahead and submit this survey. Okay, so now we see we only have two options available to collect an additional record, or we can edit the sent data, but we don't have any option for editing those surveys which have already been sent in the past. So we don't see any opportunity to, again, go back, pull those data sets down, make edits, and then push back. So in order to do this, we can enable the inbox within the settings of the Survey123 Connect survey. So as I access the settings tab, I can see here that there's a tab for the inbox. So I'll go ahead and select the inbox, and by default we see that this is disabled. So what I want to do is enable this inbox, and for now I'm not going to apply a filter. I just want all records that have already been submitted to be available to me in the inbox. So for this to be reflected, I need to publish my survey. And in addition, I need to go back to my field app and re-download or update the survey. So now I can see that I have another option available, which is the inbox. If I open the inbox and refresh, now I have 6 records, including the one that we just saw that I submitted. In addition, we can view this within the Survey123 website and see again that there are 6 features within the Survey123 website, as well as a web map which is referencing the feature service. And we can see that there are also records which reflect those surveys submitted as well. So now let's say that I want to go in and edit one of these values. You'll see when I open it up, I have information which was submitted, and instead of 0.2 for my collected info, I can change this, let's say, to 2. Resubmit, and now that record actually disappears from my inbox. So it went from 6 records to 5 records. I can go through and resubmit all of these. And as I submit them, they're removed from the inbox. Now what can be helpful again, if there's lots of records within your service and you don't want, let's say, hundreds or thousands of records to be returned into the inbox, you can set up a filter. So let me go back here, and within my filter, let's go ahead and apply a query. So in this case, we will state in my inbox, give me only those records that are over, let's say, 0.5 inches in the rain gauge. So for that question, which is labeled gauge, I'll state gauge is greater than 0.5. And let's go ahead and refresh this. Publish. And back to my field app again, and I need to re-download And now I can see that only those records where there was a submission of over 0.5 inches for my rain gauge are returned. So that's limiting, again, only to the records for the filter which was applied. Otherwise, I would get every record that I have applied, so I would get 7. This has limited it down to 2. So that's essentially how the inbox can be used, again, to edit existing data, and can be really useful for, again, managing lifecycle workflows beyond what we've shown here today. That's the end of the presentation. Are there any questions related to content covered? Yeah.
One of the questions is a geopoint question, and you have it in the inbox to edit it. Will the position that you are in when you're making that edit then replace the old point?
Yes, so if you move that point, so the question is, if a geopoint question is edited from the inbox, will the current location when collecting in the inbox be applied, so updated? If you select the option to update based on the crosshair to your current location, then it will apply that location. I believe otherwise it should remain, but
so when the features come into the inbox, they will have the location that was set previously.
Yeah.
They will not represent your current location. You can overwrite the location if you push the center or you pan the map around. So if you really don't want people to change the geometries, you may want to make your geolocation point read-only, right? So people could change attributes, but not necessarily the location of the features.
Sure.
Can you filter the inbox by date? Yes. You can use a date to filter the inbox. For example, you can say, filter all hydrant inspections that are pending for inspection since a particular date. Right? You can also use an expression to use the current time to do this type of filters. Yes. Give me all inspections that are pending, in the next 3 days.
Just to amplify on that, the date query is a little complicated in terms of syntax. We've done a couple of posts in GeoNet to work on that, and additionally, ArcGIS Online has some guidance with how date functions work. It's the exact same as we're basically going directly to the feature service, so it's exactly as if it was being done in any other layer.
Can you pull data from a feature class? Not, but it's coming. Tomorrow in the road ahead session for mobile apps, we will cover that. That's a great question. What if I make a change and I forgot, I want to amend that data? How would I do that? So you probably noticed that every time you send data from the application, we create a folder called Sent. Just like in Outlook, when you send an email, you have a Sent folder where you can see the emails you sent. Well, unlike in Outlook, where you cannot fix your emails, sometimes you wish you could, in Survey you can. So you go into the Sent folder, open the survey, change, and resend. More questions? Yeah. Okay, that's a great question too. So how do we handle the dates, UTC and such? So all dates are stored in ArcGIS in UTC, but the conversion is done using the client kind of zone, so you get the local zone. So when doing your queries, you have to keep that in mind. Can I use my own custom feature services instead of hosted feature services for editing? The answer is yes. Yeah. You will need to create a new survey from a feature service and then enable the inbox. I think we run out of time because we are going to go into printing, right, James?
Indeed. Yes.